What's up, y'all? I want to kind of give a little update. Just had my lunch and everything, and I don't know why I keep, I must have got acid reflux. I never had that before, so maybe that's it or something. But anyway, I've been doing some research, y'all, and I've been doing research on different cameras. My brother was over my grandma's house at one point in time talking about different things, and she was talking about the war. I think World War II or something like that, or something that was going on in the war when she was coming up. And she says not everybody's interested in that kind of stuff, and I said, well, I am. And she's up there. She's like 90 something. And so that World War II generation, they were different than that civil rights generation. So I want to capture that. So I started looking at different cameras. The iPhone is cool, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and upgrade because this thing keeps giving me issues. And I don't, you know how I am, y'all. I don't like, but I need 128 gigs, and they don't let you expand it with Apple. Apple does a good job on gatekeeping. You talk about gatekeeping a culture, Apple does it. They don't let you put in all these. I don't think I could put a memory card in there. I might be able to, I don't think I can. So I looked at the Panasonic GS Lumix, the Sony ZV-1, that's one I was looking at, and the Canon XA10. Now that looked like an old school, it looks like a submarine. And I said, okay, if I could find that off eBay, it's a couple $100. I plan on, with her permission, I plan on trying to get some of this Black American archives, this history on what was going on and what was the mindset. And it's important that we get those archives because when those folks are gone, the story is gone unless you archive it, unless you get it. Because let it be told, somebody else will tell your story. And then you'll have people tethering on and lying and conniving, and then they'll just, before you know it, your history is just completely whitewashed. They had us when we was kids thinking that we just picked cotton. And we did much, much more. Patents, built every railroads, everything. There wasn't nothing that we did not build. We were much, much more than just cotton. And you have to get these relics. You have to document and digitize these relics. Get some of it on paper. The oral traditions can be placed on tape. There's even back before the 60s, before the 70s, before the 50s, even the 50s, the 40s, there's tapes of people talking about different things, and some of that audio is being brought to the forefront. I was looking online the other night at a yearbook. The Hennepin County Library has yearbooks. I found a picture of my mother on the yearbook. I think I'm going to make that the cover. This was in the 60s. She told me around that time it wasn't a lot of black folks in Minnesota at all. She was born in Waterloo. So I found her yearbook picture, and I think this was 68. South High, due to foundationals turning up and giving the USA an ultimatum, they made South High more of a fortress. That's why when we went to school, we felt like, man, this juvie hall, this looked like a prison. They fortified it because they weren't really sure. There's hardly no windows or nothing like that. Me and my homie was talking about it like there was no windows. I said, yeah, bro, there wasn't no windows, but we didn't know why. So, that's something. So I want to ask a bunch of questions and stuff like that about how it was back then. So that's another thing about the school. And, there's a lot of questions and things that I want to ask. And I might use Brother Chat. Like I said, I'm trying to work smart. I'll ask Brother Chat, hey, make me a list of questions that I could ask her if I could get this on tape. Because I want to get this done within like the next 90 days or something like that. So, I am working on the audio book of my first book. The second book, I'm probably not going to do the audio. It's too many. It's just way too long, but I could. So I'm working on the audio book. And this session was really about more, this digital journal was more about dealing with the psychological effects from moving remote and going on site, dealing with the politics. something very interesting that I've noticed in certain environments, and I could attest to this one right here that I've observed. If you're taking lunch at your desk, here's the thing. I'm gonna tell y'all something. When you're taking lunch at your desk, people can see, even if you're at lunch, they can see that you're trying to eat your damn lunch. And now they feel like it's fair game. But I think it should be a caution of respect. If you see somebody there eating, don't come over to my work area. You see what I'm saying? And be leaning in and doing all that. They do that shit, man. I'm telling y'all, they do that in corporate, man. They do that. And you be wanting to jap out half the time. Gotta keep you cool. I use body language. I'll move back a little bit to let them know you're invading, you're encroaching in on my space. You really don't gotta come no closer. In corporate, there's constant violations of personal space. And we just got out of a pandemic, right? So now folks feel free to do what they used to. I told y'all, I've seen numerous occasions where people barely wash their hands, and not at all. And that's a no-no. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's harder for us a lot of times when we're in these environments. We're not used to violating each other's space. Even on the train, when I was talking about that train situation, or how people get all like, dude with the, I said dude smell like a Cornish hen and Bandicoot feet. He smelled like Crash Bandicoot's feet. He didn't get too close to those other people, but like, you gotta let folks know, whether it be body language, or sometimes you just gotta tell them like, hey, I need some more space. And okay, need another one. I sure do. I do need another one. Folks, a lot of times, what they like to do is they figure that you're sitting there, so you're available. That could be a fair game argument, but it's kind of like, you see me out here with getting my stuff together, and I don't like going to the lunchrooms a lot of times because people just come up here and talk about work. I don't want to hear about no damn work. I'm at lunch. Unless it's like a lunch and learn. I don't want to hear that shit. I don't. That's my small little bit of personal space. That's why I have these. And everybody has them a lot of times, so you can't really tell if they're on a meeting or not. When I turn this down, that makes people think that you're on the phone. But you can't always tell. I got this iPhone 11, or I think it's a 12 or whatever. I'm still impressed with this video. I'm still impressed with this camera, man. But for young brothers and sisters around the world that listen to this broadcast, just know, when you go back into the lion's den from being remote or whatever the case may be, if you're working in a setting that's close proximity to like desktop people, help desk, stuff like that, you have people, and it's really a challenge for me, because I'm really big on personal space. I'm really, really big on personal space. It's kind of like, because if I see you eating, because see, I know under a certain amount of feet while you're talking, people might have a wet mouth. You might have a northern pike mouth. You might have a largemouth bass ass mouth. And I don't need that all up in my damn food. So I take it as a personal offense. So, and the way I sit kind of like at the end. So it's all high visibility. So, I've been trying to find her. The thing about the remote for me, as far as health, I'm sitting a lot. So I said, well, you know what? I'm just going to hit the gym more. I'm gonna have to just force myself to the gym, take my walks and all this kind of stuff, because I think it's kind of affecting me too. When in 2024, when I was working on those buses and stuff like that, installing cameras, I noticed I didn't really have no health issues. I didn't feel like, when I was telling y'all about my chest or the stress, I didn't really have that. It just didn't pay. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't really have that issue that much. But that begs the difference for, that begs the difference for other things too. Now, this is a tech channel, but I'm speaking to black folks, so we have to be proactive about how things are, because things are going to affect us the most, right? And they always have. I don't buy into this "you're next." You're hearing a lot of that right now, that "you're next" garbage. We've always been first, and we will be the last. But you might want to consider looking at trades too. I'm being honest. And y'all probably like, well, damn, he's trying to sell books and he's trying to promote tech. Listen to me. I talked about how AI is going to affect us years ago. I talked about the agility report years ago. I used to tell my students, all the hundreds of people that I trained or whatever the case may be, there's going to be a day where this is going to become a problem. Yeah. The tech that I preach about is going to become a problem. The question is who? So I say just diversify your portfolio. Just keep it in mind. Consider it. Consider diversifying your portfolio. You see what I'm doing? I looked at the Canon XA10. It's a camera. Google that right now. It's an old school camera. Like I was telling my brother one day, I said, you good at regular cameras, consider video. Now, a lot of dudes, like at one point in Minneapolis, everybody want the video and want to rap. But a lot of rappers, they ain't really trying to invest in themselves. Let's be honest. They ain't trying to pay no money. They always want something for free. And they think that's how they gonna get on. That's not how they get on. They ought to look at Atlanta. Down there, them D-boys, they pay. They pay their way to get in the game, and they get in. Now look at them doing numbers, and they work together. That's not a big thing in Minnesota. Let's be honest. You have producers, video people, they're always complaining about folks that don't want to break no bread because they don't want to invest. It is what it is, man. You invest in yourself, it's going to work out for you. And if you bet on the wrong horse, you're going to learn something. That's something money can't buy, is experience. You're going to learn something. So break bread. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Cameras, trades, electricians, along with telecom and all that stuff kind of goes hand in hand too. So, something to think about. It's something to think about, y'all. Definitely something to think about. Because they can't use AI for trades. The robots have not gotten that robust. We're still about 20 years out for that, if that, or more. So, but that's when you're running into people that's doing that kind of stuff, man. Body language. Body language says a lot. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm kind of like, all right, man, you see what I'm doing here. It's like, but a lot of times, man, they don't care. They don't care, and I think it's very unprofessional. Because I don't think anybody should be very, very close to anybody's food. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think that's something you should do. And some people say, well, why don't you just go do that to them? I know I'm encroaching on them now. No, I don't want to be next to your stuff. I don't want to be too close no how. I don't. So, hey, check it out, y'all. The Panoramic G7 Lumix. Anybody got reviews on it? Because I'm looking at the websites and all this kind of stuff. And anybody personally know the Canon XA10, the Sony ZV-1. And I'm gonna get an old school used camera. I'm gonna do like them old Magnavox and them Zenith. Y'all remember them Zenith TVs? So yeah, I'm gonna post that picture of my mom so y'all can see what it looked like at 68 South High Tigers. You understand? So I was a South High Tiger. So it's a hell of a name. You know what I'm saying? Tiger didn't play no games. Tiger get ferocious real quick. So hopefully, man, like I said, in the next 90 days, man, I could, with her permission, I want to post that. I want to get that out as an archive. And that will go under the Foundational Freedmen playlist. Absolutely. Yeah. And guess what? If I get that on camera, she got the credibility to speak on the Freedmen. Not somebody that showed up 5 minutes ago. She got the credibility because she lived it. So y'all enjoy.
We've been telling kids for 15 years to code. Learn to code, we said. Yeah, well, AI is coming for the coders. They're not coming for the welders. They're not coming for the plumbers. They're not coming for the steam fitters or the pipe fitters or the HVAC. They're not coming for the electricians. That Ideas Festival I was telling you about in Aspen, I sat there and listened to Larry Fink say we need 500,000 electricians in the next couple of years. Not hyperbole. This is me being the alarmist again. There's not a week that goes by in my humble little foundation. It's called MicroWorks, shameless plug. We award work ethic scholarships every year, right, to kids who want to learn a skill that's in demand. These are trade school scholarships. Not a week goes by where I don't get a phone call from somebody like the Blue Forge Alliance, who oversees our maritime industrial base. That's 15,000 individual companies who are collectively charged with building and delivering 3 nuclear-powered subs to the Navy every year for 10 years, right? 2 Virginia, 1 Columbia class. Mind-bogglingly complicated. This guy calls and says, we're having a hell of a time finding tradespeople. Can you help? I said, I don't know, man. It's pretty skinny out there. How many do you need? He says 140,000. 140,000. Now, granted, over 7 years, but they need 80, 90,000 right now. These are our submarines, folks, right? Things go hypersonic, little sideways with China, Taiwan, whatever. Our aircraft carriers are no longer the point of the spear. They're vulnerable. Our submarines matter. And these guys have a pinch point because they can't find welders and electricians to get them built. Where are they? They said. We've looked everywhere. Do you know? I said, yeah, I know where they are. They're in the 8th grade, man. They're in the 8th grade. And the same thing, the automotive industry needs 80,000 collision repair and technicians. Energy, I don't even know what the number is. I hear 300, I hear 500,000 everywhere. So, not to filibuster, but that's the underlying thing that I just really hope people take from this conference. There is a clear and present freak out going on right now. I've heard from 6 governors in the last 6 months. I've heard from the heads of major companies in the country. It's like a memo has gone out. And people are realizing, something? We need to tend to this, both on the PR side and on the demographic. I don't know what to do about the retiring demography. I don't know what to do about 7 million able-bodied men choosing not to work. But I do know that the message to the young men and women in this state that a bright future awaits if they would but learn a skill that's in demand, that's going to resonate politically, that's going to resonate practically, it's going to move the needle.